Comic Timing is a proud member of the Comics Podcast Network.
Welcome to episode 20B of Comic Timing, a comics podcast devoted to the average comic book fan, from the average comic book fan. Join in as a rotating panel of guests and myself, Ian Levinstein, discuss whatever comes to mind, time after time, here on Comic Timing. Well, when last we left our heroes, we were discussing 52, and oh, what a discussion we have on tap. David D. and John Mayo return for part 2 of episode 20, and here we are, already in progress. Let's touch on Black Adam a little bit here because, well, that has to play a lot into the world of World War III. With the ISIS character, and I'm not going to give away the other character that's introduced because that's actually this week, so I don't want to even touch on that. ISIS and Black Adam. Black Adam is happy for the first time in his life. We know this is not going to last.
By the way, if I may digress for a moment, I have to just give some respect. Yeah. Black Adam, the smoothest man in comics. I mean, honestly, could you imagine a first date that is, come into my magical rock and let me give you the powers of a goddess? First date. Second date, let's go free the children of Africa and adopt them. I mean, that's better than like, oh, do you know I was in the Peace Corps for a year? No. Let's together, you and I, go free the children of Africa and adopt them. Second date. I mean, that's pretty smooth.
It's
Third
magic,
date was what?
Man. Seriously.
Giving her the diamond of Cleopatra. Third date.
Yeah.
Smoothest man in comics.
I think he's setting himself up for a really lousy marriage because she's going to have expectations.
I guess so. I mean, he sets the bar high, but you gotta respect it.
He's a very smooth operator. Let's put it that way. Oh yeah. But still, I mean, we know that with the way that this character has gone over the years, he's genuinely a very unhappy character. And unless they're going to set up this Black Marvel family, which seems to be happening here in 52, are we even going to see a Black Marvel family after 52? Is something going to happen here with ISIS that's going to end this before it even starts, which could very well anger Black Adam to the point of starting that World War III that he hinted at early on in the series?
Sure. Plus, I mean, ISIS has been great, but she certainly seems capable and feisty enough that she could have absolutely her plan going. I mean, so far it seemed like he's wanted to, go rip the villains in half and things like that, and she's distracted them into doing nice things, and she can make flowers bloom and things like that. But to me, that actually only makes me more suspicious of her. There's that sense of power being built, but it's being built, we may think that Black Adam is building a Black Adam family, but it seems perhaps that ISIS is instead building her own sort of Egyptian mythology family of her own. Like, I do feel like Black Adam is in for a big surprise.
I certainly think things could turn out very badly for Black Adam. I'm kind of hoping they don't. What I would like to see come out of this and, the end of the whole Trial of Shazam stuff, wherever that lands, is that they finally position the Marvel family in a, good place where it can have an ongoing series. Something where we can have, Black Adam still in charge of Kahndaq, doing, essentially the Doctor Doom riff, if you will, that he's been doing so well for so long. Keep ISIS going. Hell, I'd bring in some of the other characters out of the whole Fawcett stable and run with that for a bit.
One thing, if I may, again, just to pay a compliment, I really like the nuance in which 52 has handled Kahndaq. That, at first, whenever we're presented with an anti-hero and one of these kind of super totalitarian, almost nearly super fascist stories where it's like that power fantasy of, well, if I had all these powers, I would, rip criminals in half, and I would, make the world fair, and I would go stop all these dictators, etc. He's playing out that fantasy, but I like the fact that even though Black Adam is making the trains run on time in Kahndaq and is, abolishing crime and all that, and is, freeing these child slaves, he still has a country in which, if you go down deep into the prisons, people are being tortured and raped. Like that, the way that the geopolitics of that, to me, are really satisfying because it shows you that his way of enforcing by the sword trickles down in a way where corrupt members of his country are still going to do terrible things when no one is looking. So I really like the juxtaposition between Black Adam and ISIS and all of their happy peoples and what is happening to Question and Montoya in that dungeon. To me, that just played as, it just felt true. And I like the way that Kahndaq has been handled. And I feel like that has Greg Rucka all over it. That just feels like it's playing right to his strength.
I would agree with that. Yeah. And they've done a great job with it.
Oh, sure. And, I mean, Question and Montoya, had such growth in this series as well. I mean, you've seen Montoya go from this booze hound to, well, she might still be a little bit into the, the promiscuity and the booze a little bit, but she has a life again. She has this air about her that we haven't really seen in about 2 years out of the character, that, she's just been drifting farther and farther down into the depths of despair. Obviously, with the death of her partner in Infinite Crisis and all this, she was completely gone. And she was no longer with her lover. She just was not the same character anymore. She's getting back to being the Montoya that we knew in the animated series and in the early Gotham Central issues. She's starting to become that character again. The look on her face when Batwoman showed up for the first time, and she thought it was Batman, because she used to be literally like the Batman lackey. Like whenever Batman showed up, she was the fangirl. Yay, woohoo! And she'd go jump into battle and enjoy the fact that he was there. And you saw a light in her eyes that you have not seen very often out of the character. And she has grown leaps and bounds, as has Question, mind you, because he's got more of a personality now than I think he has in years.
Plus, what I really like about their relationship is that, because Montoya, Question in the O'Neill series, which is fantastic, and to me the darling of the cheap bins, if you can find it, is that he was always that person that was self-destructive, and where his character started was down in a similar depth to where he finds Montoya at the beginning of 52, and so much of that Question series, like a martial arts epic, is about not only him doing the work of this vigilante, but also him kind of building up his own strength and soul and getting control and discipline and all that stuff. And that's exactly what he's doing for Montoya. And it's really fun as a reader and, lover of that O'Neill series to get to watch Question kind of bump up in his own status and maturity by being the kind of person that could take somebody under his wing. In that original Question series, he was somebody who could take no one under his wing, because he was himself the kind of reckless problem person. So I think it's fun to watch the way in which he's making her question certain things, giving her a reason to stay focused, and I just think that's been, it reminds me of, again, getting back to TV. Homicide to me is also one of the best TV shows there's ever been, writing wise, and it goes to show that sometimes the most interesting love relationship doesn't need to be romantic. And the writer, creator of Homicide, Tom Fontana, refers to Bayliss and Pendleton as the best love story on television that was going on. I don't know if either of you guys watched that show?
No.
Oh, okay. All right.
I haven't,
I'm losing it, so I'll wrap it up.
I do know what you're talking about, though, because I've actually I've heard people describe Homicide to me before, so I can understand what you're saying. Yeah, and they had sort of a mentor-student relationship. They were both straight men. I mean, well, actually, all right, I guess Bayliss wasn't, but that's another story. But yeah, it wasn't a romantic relationship, but it was a love relationship that was absolutely engaging to watch. And the same is true with Montoya in Question. It's not in any way a romantic relationship, but it's actually the most engaging love story in the series so far. Without question.
No, without question. He's in this.
Oh, yeah.
You're all night, folks.
But also Batwoman. We definitely need to touch on her a little bit, because we haven't seen much of her, but from what we've seen, well, there's definitely a new member of the Bat family, and I have a feeling we'll be seeing her around in, post 52. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if she gets her own series eventually. I mean, there's so much depth to her character, and it's a character that was around in, the pre-Crisis days and is now back. Do you feel there's a real need for Batwoman in the DC universe post 52, or do you see her basically sort of only belonging here without a world with a Batman in it?
I really don't think there's a huge mandate to add any more characters to the Batman family. That being said, I don't think she's a bad addition. Do I think they'll try to spin out a new series with her? Oh, certainly. I'd be amazed if they didn't. We haven't really seen all that much of her, and what I've seen I've liked, but I'm not, thinking, oh gosh, they've got to give us all that much more. She'd be better as a supporting character, maybe, going into Birds of Prey or something like that, versus a lead character in her own book.
Okay.
Yeah, I pretty much agree. I mean, I like that, especially because, and we won't get into all this, but because there was so much publicity around the launch of the Batwoman character, I really liked that her issue wasn't a typical origin story, and in keeping with the mysterious tone of 52 and in keeping our eye on our 6-person cast, she really was only there as a character for Montoya in that issue, more than this issue being, okay, and now let's get this new character going, and we're going to show you an origin story, and we're going to just launch this ship, and off she goes to her new title. I like that we saw her sparingly, and that it was all about Montoya's relationship with her, and we were seeing her from Montoya's perspective. So I like what we don't know about her. I guess they may try to launch a Batwoman book, and maybe Kathy Kane will be in the suit, and maybe somebody else will be in the suit. I do feel like there's something to the story arc that Montoya is going through, where she seems to be transitioning from thinking like a detective to thinking like a vigilante. And I wonder if that may go all the way to the point of us seeing Montoya in a suit. And if so, could that be the Batwoman suit if something happened to Kathy Kane? I don't know. But so far in the Kathy Kane character, I will say that in keeping with the theme of earning power and earning being a hero, we don't have much of a sense of whether she's earned a Batmantle yet. Like, it seems like she, had a lot of private tutors teach her lessons and things like that, and it kind of seems like she's doing this whole vigilante thing, maybe for kicks. I mean, it seems almost like a kind of rich person's hobby rather than a mission. I mean, again, we haven't seen much of her, I shouldn't judge, but if that's true, I could see her coming to a quick end. I could see Kathy Kane coming to a quick end if she's playing in a game that she's not ready for. Because as we've seen so many times in Batman books, if you try to start playing the sort of Bat game when you're not ready for it, terrible things happen to you. So I wonder if we may end up with a Batwoman after 52, but not a Kathy Kane Batwoman.
Okay, I can sort of understand where you're coming from with that. And actually, when I first heard about the character of Batwoman, when they first decided they were going to introduce her, I thought it was going to be Montoya. When I first saw her in that splash page at the end of Infinite Crisis, I was putting money on the fact that it would be Montoya. When they announced it wasn't going to be Montoya, it really surprised me. So it could very well be Montoya after this is all said and done. We don't know. We're just going to have to wait and see here. Something could happen where Kane ends up in a pool of her own blood, and Montoya, out of respect for her, out of their previous relationship, goes out there and becomes Batwoman herself. Who knows?
I would think they'd be better off leaving it with Kate Kane, who is somebody that could show up on equal footing with Bruce Wayne in society functions and, as Batwoman against Batman type thing, and be a potential rival versus, let's take a previously established character, put him in a costume we've built up with somebody else. I think it'd be a mistake to do that with Montoya. So.
Could be, yeah. One thing I will say that I really like about Kate Kane, just from sort of a clever metatextual point of view, is I love the notion that there's a Kane family in Gotham that's just as rich as the Waynes, and that explains why, of course, throughout the history of Batman books, people have said, oh, Kane Street and Kane Dock and Kane, they've, as a tribute to Bob Kane, will just put the word Kane into Gotham, and I love that now there's actually a reason for it. In the same way that you see the name Rockefeller all over New York City, there's now a reason why Kane pops up in so many places in Gotham, and to me that's just really clever.
It really is, yeah. I've been waiting for them to introduce a Kane character for years, to tell you the truth, and I'm glad they finally did, even if it is in the form of
again, they have one pre-Crisis. So.
Well, yeah.
I didn't realize that. Who was it pre-Crisis that was
it was Kathy Kane who was Batwoman, and it was her niece Betty Kane that was the character that became who's Batgirl, who became Dash Girl, I should say, who became Flamebird of the Titans and stuff.
Interesting. Okay. Wait, in current continuity, who's Flamebird?
Flamebird is the Batgirl-looking one, except more of a flame motif or whatever, who's shown up occasionally in the Titans. In the Superboy fight in Infinite Crisis, there were a couple of characters who got bounced to that Earth 2. She was among them.
Okay. And that actually makes sense to me now. Okay. Is her name still Kane? Is her last name still Kane these days?
Yeah.
Or?
Last I looked.
All right. Well, that actually makes me think. Perhaps maybe in this reality she'll be a cousin of Kathy or something like that.
Of Batwoman.
Okay.
So, and again, this all goes back to the 50s era Batman stuff. In the comics.
Yeah, I doubt they'll leave that as a coincidence. They're definitely going to play on the Kane angle at one point.
By the way,
let's go on to the
funny noise there for a moment. I have a cat here. I think that was desperately trying to make his podcast debut by purring and rubbing himself against the mouthpiece of the phone. So I don't know if you actually heard that.
Perfectly understandable. I've had dogs in mine a couple times. So. let's go onto the blackboard, because as opposed to just talking about the Metal Men, I think it would be best to actually just go into the blackboard where the Metal Men do play a part on some of the things on the blackboards. Sure. Now, I'm going with the list that you actually have here on the forums that you've provided to everybody, David.
Oh, and again, I've got to credit King33 with the guy on the forum that actually took the time to make this list. So I've augmented it with a few guesses and filled in some information, but he did the sort of madness work of picking through each and every inch of those panels to give us this list.
Excellent. Well, thank you, King, for doing that in the first place. All right, here we go with board 1. Basically, I'm going to go fact by fact here, and then you'll give a short response on that, what we think it might have to do with what's going on. A lot of them will just have to pass, but I will do my best. Here we go. Exactly. Well, the first one is, I think I kind of agree with what you have here about it just being an overall title. Time Is, but that could be Time Is Broken, I'm assuming.
Yeah, and again, a lot of these are Ping's notes, but I think, again, that's the left-hand board, and as he's got here, there is definitely an overall theme to that, time is up for grabs, time is a lot of the things that follows, and again, if you read across, that half of time is broken, and it's his fault.
Okay.
But I do think that's probably the single most important thing on the board is the fact that, currently in 52, time is broken, and it is somehow Booster's fault.
Dead by Lead. This is the one that I think all three of us can sort of touch on here. Dead by Lead. Now, right away, Lead of the Metal Men comes to mind, but that could mean anything. Now, John, Dead by Lead.
It could also be a reference to Daxamites, who are, poisoned by lead. I mean, those are the two main things I can think of, is Metal Men and Daxamites.
Okay. David?
Yeah, I'm thinking Metal Men. I don't know the Daxamites, but, and maybe lead of the Metal Men will play a part in, killing somebody. We have seen that Magnus is involved with various mad scientists and involved with Dr. Murrow, so, I think that the Metal Men will be what he uses to, get himself out of that trouble.
Further Time Is Different. Now, this has sort of been explained a little bit here, as obviously, Booster has a different history than what is actually going to happen here, but I guess this means that the future itself has changed, too. So, Further Time Is Different. David, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree that, it not only is time broken, and, because we have things from a fixed future, at least the 25th century with Booster, further on with Legion, there's been a number of time travelers that have made important contributions to the present. If further time is different, then that's even more reason why the current time is broken. Our current time depends on some of these future people doing the things they've done. So if further up the time stream is broken, then our present is in even more trouble. Would be my guess on that.
I see it mainly as a nod to things like the Legion of Superheroes is now not what they used to be. Things of that nature. I don't know that, we really know much about what Booster's future... we don't know that Booster's future has or hasn't changed at this point. And it could also be that time works different further forward than it does now. This could play into the Earth 2 thing. It could play into, half a dozen things. I don't know.
Well, I think the Further Time Is Different does definitely have to do something with the Legion, as that does make a lot of sense there. But I think also eventually Commandy might play into this at one point or another.
That's a good thing, because you've got Commandy and Tommy Tomorrow, which in, I don't remember if it was Crisis on Infinite Earth or whatever, they were essentially kind of slammed to be the same person, just alternate takes on it.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, that does make a little bit of sense there, because, and again, Commandy was hinted in the Battle for Bloodhaven, as there was a Command D, if I remember correctly. So that could certainly lead to that. He won't smell it.
It's definitely Ralph. Ralph.
It's got to be. Yeah.
Or Ralph won't smell what's really going on. Hopefully not until it's too late.
Yeah.
But that Plus, as we talked about earlier, if there is somebody manipulating him, he clearly, isn't realizing it.
I could certainly agree with that. In fact, that does make a lot of sense here because, well, he's definitely being manipulated at this point, and, well, if he is being manipulated, he doesn't know it yet, and hopefully he will know it soon, because if this series ends with him still being manipulated, I'm going to be very annoyed.
Yeah, I'm not sure where they're going with him, because I certainly don't see them turning him into the next Dr. Fate.
No. I don't think so either.
I'm wondering, and
'cause-
again, I don't want to digress too much because we have a lot of board to get through, but I wonder if there's a way in which, if he helps the helmet find a new... I mean, we watched, you know, the last Dr. Fate and his wife got reunited and got to kind of go off to the Dreamland together in JSA. I wonder if helping the current Fate helmet might grant Ralph a similar gift.
I was wondering that too.
You know, because it would be hard
It's
for
possible.
us to get Ralph back as anything but retired after everything they've done to him. So I wonder if there's a kind of reward for him that puts him and Sue back together, you know, in a turn.
Or him in a facsimile of Sue.
Oh, jeez, that'd be terrible.
Yeah.
Well,
Him
a dream
and,
version.
Martian Manhunter with a Sue puppet for that creepy side of Martian
Yeah,
Manhunter
right.
that none of us ever knew.
Well, no. I mean, this could be something like what happened with Superman of Earth 2 and
Yeah,
Lois.
that's true.
You know, that sort
I
of
was
thing.
thinking more
Yeah,
that,
it's
you know,
fine.
Ralph goes to the dreaming and, you know, he dreams Sue back.
No.
Okay.
We certainly have seen that
It's
Ralph
possible.
is willing to try anything to get her back. You know, and with Fate,
Yeah.
I mean, he is in very much like, geez, I forget which myth it is, but that story of the person that, you know, goes to the underworld to get his wife back. And, you know, then there's that awful thing where he can't turn around and she has to follow him. And if he turns around, she turns into a pillar of salt, and we all know how that ends. But Ralph is in that similarly desperate point. So I feel like he's willing to do whatever and make deals with whoever he needs to get her back.
The 4 horsemen will end her reign, and that's reign spelled R-A-I-N, as in the stuff that falls from the sky. Now, this screams ISIS to me.
Especially because she can make it rain. The 4 could it be the Marvel family and Black Adam? Could it be Black Adam with a new Black Adam family? I don't know, but I do think that that's definitely ISIS territory.
This could have something to do with that World War III that we're hinting at. Maybe it is ISIS that starts that, and not Black Adam.
Sure.
We don't know.
Well, War would
read
be one of
issue
the
23.
War would be one
Yep.
of the 4 horsemen. You know, war, famine.
Oh, sure.
That's true. That's true. Find the last L. And this is not the letter L, this is E-L, as in the Superman family. Now, to me, and David put this down here as Mon-El, I would agree with that, but would it be Mon-El in this continuity, or would it be Mon-El in the Legion?
Yeah,
That's the
actually,
question.
King put that one down, because I don't know. So
okay.
any Legion question John should be able to do, though.
I am not expecting this to be Mon-El. The other although the L is in quotes, so that would support that theory. Because Mon-El already, at least pre-Infinite Crisis, existed in this time frame as Valor or whatever, and got bounced forward.
Okay.
But maybe we're gonna, you know, find him and find out what's up with him. Or there's some other survivor of Krypton. Arguably, there are 3 L's to be had. There's Kal-El as Clark Kent. There's Kara Zor-El of Supergirl, and then there's the other Kara Zor-El, I guess, of Power Girl. But that would be just an L, not an EL.
I think we're all forgetting the 80s prestige or 80s Baxter format El Diablo.
Oh.
Well,
Somehow I doubt it.
I'd actually like to see that El Diablo come back. I like it.
Well, how about this? It has been reported that in the Donner run of Superman that there is going to be a new Superboy showing up. So maybe that has something to do with it. Because he is apparently going to be Kryptonian, and I'm not sure whether he's going to be an L, but they did say that he is at least going to be Kryptonian, so who knows. And speaking of Kryptonians, Man of Steel. Now, obviously, since John Henry Irons is made of steel now, I guess that would
that's
be
what I'm
him.
leaning towards,
But
too.
yeah, not much discussion to be had on that one. But this one is the joke. Sonic Disruption crossed out. Time Masters, Time Servants.
Well, Sonic Disruptors, and of course crossed out because that was the famously unfinished miniseries. There's already been. Was it in the Super Chief issue that we got another Sonic Disruptors joke? I know we got like a Fastback joke and a Silverblade joke. But I feel like Sonic Disruptors has gotten, a little...
I'm not totally convinced the
Easter egg
Silverblade stuff is necessarily a joke, because that actually plays into the way that series worked.
Yeah?
Silverblade was basically about an actor who did a series of movies, including Silverblade as kind of his main, success or whatever. And his power was he could kind of become any of the characters he ever played. So it could be that they're asserting that these movies happened in the DC universe, the actor exists, and we could see him again.
Yeah, although, is it something, Fastback is clearly somebody we're not going to get back because he's like a turtle or something, right? Is Silverblade remembered, you think, well, or is Silverblade remembered as like, remember when we published that?
I don't think Silverblade is remembered.
At all.
At all.
Yeah. I have no idea who Silverblade is.
It was a 12-issue series that, a few people read. I don't think it's ever been traded. I'd be surprised if it ever is, unless it's going to play into something. I think they're more using it as an opportunity to dust off anything and everything in the DC stable and kind of assert, it kind of plays in somehow. Now, are they ever going to do anything with it? No, but I don't think it's just a joke in terms of, we're reusing the name.
Could be.
Okay. And could be indeed, but, Time Masters, Time Servants, that's the part of it that I think gets me the most here, because, Time Masters, Time Servants, the Masters we haven't seen. The Servants, I'd say, are the monitors.
We haven't seen the Time Masters in this series, but there was a Time Masters mini-series 15 years ago or whatever, with Rip Hunter and crew. And I think what it's coming down to is they're no longer in charge of time, they're more having to clean up time.
I gotcha. Okay. So in other words, a new role for them.
And I see it more as the Rip Hunter types. I don't think it's connected to the monitors.
The Reach. The Reach.
Yeah, that's a weird one. Yeah, what's the name of that edge of the universe where Red Tornado saw something, and what is there a name for that? Like that edge? That's not the Reach, is it?
Not that I recall.
I don't think there is.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, there may be, but
because remember that is a big.
I think the Reach might have to do with Elongated Man.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Because there is a big plot point, that we haven't discussed, regarding the space team, Buddy and the rest, and the fact that they witnessed something that has put a bounty on their head, and it's probably the same thing that, or similar to what Red Tornado witnessed before he blew up. And I don't know, the Reach, especially the capital R letters, just feels like something to do with that.
Those are lowercase.
Could be a new hero.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay. I guess I had it.
What gets me is it's repeated 3 times, and the last one's underlined. The repetition somehow plays into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe it's somebody's magic word or something like that. I don't know. Who knows? The Tornado is in pieces. That much we pretty much know. That's Red Tornado.
And he's scattered across the galaxy.
Yeah. And, apparently, his pieces do eventually get back together. But we're not sure whether or not that's going to happen in 52, whether or not they're going to show that, because, his body is completely repaired in Justice League.
I don't know that they necessarily used all original parts.
True. Okay.
By the way, too, that I just find that Red Tornado's, head or part of his body being in Australia and things like that, what a great sort of Shakespeare-esque device that we now have this character who has a piece of information that's clearly important that he needs to get to everyone else, but, has been separated because he's crash-landed and now he's in the outback, and so that's sort of a really classic storytelling device of a tragedy.
And, of course, what does he have to tell people?
Yeah.
52. I'm not kryptonite.
And that one's in quotes. The quotes are relevant for some reason. I don't know how or why.
Don't ask me why, but I see this line coming from Supernova at one point. I'm not sure why. I can't even explain it. I see it coming from Supernova at one point.
I see it more from potentially like a Metamorpho type. I mean, this could go towards, if we get like a Daxamite like Mon-El or whatever, he could claim to turn into kryptonite, he's just glowing lead or whatever, and hey, gee, I fell ill, hey, I'm not kryptonite, that kind of, but that's a stretch.
Yeah, I've got no idea on that.
Something will happen with if not Metamorpho, then with with Shift at one point, I know. So who knows? That maybe he has something to play with.
Is it possible that blood kryptonite is sentient? Or if there really is blood kryptonite, because that's in question too.
Oh, right.
That's a good question. Yeah, that could play something into it. I mean, maybe one of the elemental heroes was forced to turn, like you previously mentioned about Metamorpho. Maybe one of the elemental heroes was forced to turn into kryptonite, and then eventually, he chokes out those words. Who knows? It hurts to breathe.
And again, hurts is underlined.
Ping had a guess on here that could maybe refer to Aquaman or an Aquaman thingy, but this was early on before we knew much about that run, and I haven't read it, so I don't know.
Yeah.
It could be because we're back to the, hour out of water, he can't breathe type crap, but...
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, that sounds like the new Aquaman, or the new old Aquaman,
Or some variation thereof, yeah.
haven't read it.
Well, we haven't even seen the old Aquaman yet in this series.
Yes, we have.
I mean,
He was in the first issue in that gathering scene. Because if you look at that scene, there are a couple of people who, based on other events, can't be there. Because we see Green Arrow, we see Aquaman, and one or two others.
Nightwing.
Yeah.
Nightwing. Yeah, Nightwing was there, which made me believe at the time, in fact, I talked about this on the episode that we did, that it was Jason Todd in the Nightwing outfit, which explains things a little bit, because obviously if Robin's not there, Nightwing's not going to be there.
I get the feeling that when we get, let's say, the first 52 hardcover, that gathering will be redrawn.
No doubt.
Yeah. Wouldn't be surprised.
I hope when they when they collect stuff, that there's a slipcase extra book edition that explains everything.
That'd be good. That'd be good. That'll make it cost about $300 as opposed to $200. The Scarab is eternal, which obviously is a Blue Beetle reference.
There's another possibility.
Oh, yeah?
There is another Scarab. He's no longer in play, but Dr. Fate, Hector Hall, used to be the Silver Scarab, and he's the son of two people who reincarnate themselves.
Oh.
So it's a stretch.
Oh, very good. The Scarab is eternal has a question mark at the end of it, too. So that's pretty good.
And also,
so if
the
parents reincarnate, what if the offspring reincarnates also?
Exactly. When Isis got her powers and stuff, what was she given by Black Adam for that? Was that a Scarab too, or I forget?
No, it was like a necklace. It was like the necklace of Isis or something. It just looked like a... Yeah, it wasn't... It had no... I don't recall it having any sort of animal or nature totem to it. It was just like a necklace.
Okay, I just thought I'd check.
Okay. Earth, and that's circled with arrows pointing at it, clearing path through cluster of circled 52s, which are thicker around Earth than anywhere else on either board. So that could just have to do with New Earth, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I still feel like what Red Tornado saw... and that's a big question that I don't have a guess at what the 52 really is, but I do feel like it's something that's coming. And I've heard all sorts of, is it the new gods? Is it the, whatever it is, I feel like there's 52 of something headed to Earth. And that's what Red Tornado got a glimpse of. That's my guess.
I think he actually said it's coming or they're coming or something to that effect. So
oh, yeah, didn't it? Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. That's possible.
That's what I feel like that.
Well,
the Earth when all the 52s kind of heading towards it.
Well, I still think that this might have something to do with the parallel universes, also with all the 52s circling it. I mean, maybe this has something to do with the alternate Earths out there.
I hope not.
Maybe this has something to do with
Earth
2. I hope it doesn't.
Oh, I hope not, because I just feel like that just feels like old business, doesn't it?
I was confused in the Justice League Zero when they reintroduced the concept of Earth 2, because I'm like, how can this be? We just got rid of the multiverse a second time.
That's down the line, though. That's the future. So who knows? That could be something that happens or doesn't happen. So they say only 2 of those plot lines are actually going to really happen. So other those, the rest of those are like potential possibilities.
So only 2 will happen, like in the Meltzer run or in already made plans. Only 2 of those are going to happen.
I think it's 2 in the Meltzer run, but I'm assuming that most of those are not actually going to really happen. Okay. Or if they do happen, they happen really far down the line.
I see them as potential futures, but even as a potential future, we got rid of the multiverse again. It boggled my mind, is all I can say.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Where is the Curry heir?
He's in Kurt Busiek's Aquaman series. That no one
I guess.
Except John.
Well, again, there are multiple possibilities here. Because it could be Aquababy, okay? It could be this new Arthur Curry we're seeing in the Sword of Atlantis stuff. It could also be his other son who had been showing up in Aquaman. It could also be Tempest, because it's heir, not son. It could be who would inherit his throne. There are a number of possibilities.
Well, could be that guy on YouTube.
No, I'm just kidding.
The Aquaman final. Getting late. The jokes are moving on.
We're skipping who is Supernova because we already know.
Note it has those 2 words though.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, maybe the 2 words does play something into that. I don't know. I mean, if there are two people out there and one of them has a space in his name, that'd be
It'd be
ridiculous.
copyright infringement, and my God, Booster would be on top of that. No, just kidding.
Oh, hell yeah. We're on to board number
you
2
skipped
now.
the
And
200 years from now.
oh,
I don't know what it means.
200
but
years from now.
Because that'd be, or 2,000, I mean.
2,000 years from now would be
No,
Legion.
that'd be
wouldn't it?
995 years past Legion, potentially. Or at least.
That's DC. Wait, that's DC 1 million, isn't
DC
it?
1 million is 87,000 years. It's a million months.
Ah, damn. Okay. All right. See, I'm like grasping at straws in my head because I'm thinking like maybe it does have something to do with Supernova itself, because maybe Supernova comes from 2,000 years in the future.
I don't know of anything set around the year, what, I guess that'd be 4,000.
Okay.
Nothing I can think of.
Command E happens
much.
later than that, I'm assuming,
that
right?
seemed to be like
Okay.
the end of time-ish, but not quite that long.
Okay. All right, we're going to skip Broken because that has something to do with time is broken.
Yes,
so
exactly.
Epsilon message?
And again, this is Ping's description. It's just he's noting that the second board has epsilon ahead of everything that's written. So everything that's written
Okay.
has an
About-
epsilon value.
A half of them. About half of them.
Oh, half of them. Sorry, many of the notes.
Yes,
Many of
that's
the notes. And I'm sorry, I don't have the comic in front of me. I'm working off of his list, but many of them have an epsilon value. Should I read, or do you want to read how he describes epsilon values? Is that, I don't know if you...
Yeah, let me read it off of here since I have it in front of me. Many notes on the board are prefaced with an epsilon, which in this case seems to be variable as defined by the following. Kev versus, which is, I'm assuming that's, AU is gold and PB is lead. So AU plus PB. Now we all remember our order of operations, right? AU is the chemical symbol for gold, PB is lead. Lead is mentioned on board 1, and we've already noted the way it seems to combine the two running themes of metal men and Daxamites. TE is tellurium, which is also 52 on the atomic scale. It was discovered by the ancient Greeks and is commonly used in military-grade radiation shielding and the casings of disposable batteries. To make life easier, I will use an epsilon to denote the symbol here forth. Okay, so that has 52 value as well, so who knows?
Yeah, I went to a liberal arts college for acting, so I'm going to leave all the math and science to you guys. I'm going to be no help on, periodic table of elements, math. Go on.
Okay. What happened to the son of Superman?
There are multiple people they could be referring to. This could be Superboy. This could be the Superman Jr. from way back when, depending what all they're trying to pull in. Have we seen any other son of Superman? He's had a daughter or two. That's all I'm coming up with so far.
There's something that Ping has, and again, I wonder if this is going to be too obscure for them to pull it into this continuity, but he had the Phantom Stranger, who, as one of his possible origins dictates, is the son of Superman from the Kingdom, also known as the Guardian of Hypertime.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm sorry, Darth Kramer added that. So,
Okay.
It's as, possible or impossible, I suppose, as anything else. I don't know if they're going to deal anything from Kingdom into their, into their deck, but...
They already have.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, somebody mentioned that.
One or two of the characters elsewhere.
Yeah, Plastic
Yes.
Man's son.
Oh, okay.
Although, actually, that predates all this because that was in the Wade run of Justice League.
Okay. Where is the Batman?
Yep.
We all know that. So, who is the Batwoman? We know that as well.
Well,
who is
go
Diana?
back. With Batman, we know he's
go ahead.
essentially on sabbatical or whatever. We don't know exactly where he is, though.
That's true.
Yeah. Well, he's just on his super happy fun adventure time.
Which,
So.
by the way, is a year that I'm really happy to not have to read in Batman Cup. Like, that's another great use of the 52 years. Same thing with, Green Arrow. It's like, if everybody wants to go, climb mountains and, shoot arrows and meditate and all, they can do that without me having to read much of it. I think it's exciting that we'll get a Batman issue 52, but that's, plenty.
Are you reading
One
Green
issue
Arrow
of,
right now?
Yeah, and that's all right, but I'm glad that we got a lot of other stuff before we got back to that.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Because I just get so bored. It's like, oh god, another origin, another it's like a montage. It's like, oh boy, another montage of punching dummies and climbing mountains and doing push-ups. And, anyway, sorry, go on.
The opening that Batman Begins. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Who is the Batwoman? We know the answer to already. Who is Diana Prince? We know the answer to that, but they don't. So I'm assuming that, the Wonder Woman series, spoiler here, Diana Prince is back pretty much, so Wonder Woman has a secret identity again.
I'm just glad they, got that out in the first few issues, because if it was, any more, we may have another, couple of years wait.
Oh, yeah. Well, this one's going to be done, I think, in 2020,
Oh, good.
I think,
It's
but don't quote me on that.
speeded it up. So.
Oh, yeah. Him and Kevin Smith are going to collaborate on the next arc.
All right. By the way, what issue is the Rip Hunter board in? I've got my printed up list, but I could actually look at the comic.
6.
What issue, John?
Issue 6, pages 18 and 19.
Thank you. Sorry, go on.
Don't ask the question.
I love
it
that
lies.
Don't ask the question. It lies. That's just such a one. And maybe that means something. Maybe it just sounded cool on the board. Who knows? But that's a heck of a thing.
And maybe the question's keeping something from Montoya.
Yeah, I mean, I can't get into issue 23 spoilers, so I will be really vague about this. But let's just say, for me, the question has come into possession of something that I think is dangerous.
Yes.
So that's all I'll say. That if
he's come into possession of an issue of a Watchmen, and he's going to sue for copyright infringement.
He's come into possession for the script to Alan Moore's Big Numbers number 3.
I thought he picked up that copy of Who's Who on the floor there, the little chalkboard.
And he's deconstructed, and the script, which is Eaton Artist, has driven him mad. But no, he has picked up a certain thing that could potentially, I think, have a corrupting influence on the question, who's known to be a voracious reader, and have a perhaps too open mind. That's all, I'll say about that. And I also love that It Lies. That's just very cool.
Yeah.
Well, and the It Lies
definitely.
potentially could refer to Skeets, but...
Yeah. Although we need to get Skeets near the question, I suppose. But yeah, I'm sorry. Anyway,
let's see here. Secret 5.
Perhaps not all of the Secret 6 will make it out of their miniseries. Has that miniseries ended?
No. But
no.
I think even when it started, they had lost one.
Did they? Oh, okay.
They have a replacement. I forget exactly who got replaced, when, why, etc.
Yeah. So maybe we'll see the Secret 5, as it were, at some point during this, even though the Secret 6 is going on now. This is their adventures after 52. So Immortal, the IM is crossed out, leaving Mortal Savage, which has something to do with the JSA Classified, I'm sure.
No one is reading, except John.
Yes.
Hey,
did you?
I read it. Yeah, I did.
Was it anything at all?
It was a good issue.
Or isn't Classified like old stories and stuff?
No.
There are new stories in there also.
Okay.
Yeah. In fact, actually, they're doing one now with Hourman and Bane, which actually is pretty damn good.
That.
So.
And I think JSA Classified is better than JLA Classified, but none of them are something that's just, oh gosh, key continuity that you've got to be getting.
Yeah, okay. So maybe Mortal Savage has a role to play that we haven't seen yet.
It's possible. World War III, why, how, we've already touched on that, so I'll go past that. Who is Supernova again? We don't need to touch on that.
But it is great that it's, the fact that it's repeated. You have to imagine Rip Hunter writing all this stuff, so clearly it is interesting that he's kind of pining over that. Plus, it's important to point out that World War III, on that huge globe, has some particular X's on the map.
Yeah.
One of which is in the middle of the ocean.
Which makes me a bit worried there for any island nations that have superheroes.
I wonder if Atlantis
is okay. Is that where Themyscira should be, where that X is? Anybody know the DC globe?
Well, it could be, but they seem to have, vacated the real estate in Infinite Crisis. I was thinking it's more Atlantis.
Oh, okay. Although isn't that off of California, or is that?
Oh, like they couldn't move it.
Well, that's true.
Fine, Poseidon, the sister city.
There you go. Or Sub Diego.
No, that was Southern California.
Yeah, I know, but still, Sub Diego is just funny to me.
Fun to say.
All right, someone is monitoring. If they see us, they see me.
They see us, they see me. No if.
Okay, there we go. If they see us, they see me. Okay, they see us, they see me. Okay. So, the monitors.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's interesting that he would be afraid that he's being seen, too. I don't know what that matters, but, that there's, there is a huge amount of paranoia. The lab is all broken. It just, it really has that feeling of Rip Hunter being not in the best state of mind when he wrote all this.
Well, what would you be thinking? If you think somebody's monitoring you and that they see you, do you really want to basically write that down and tell them? that you know they know.
Oh, that's true. They see me, so it's almost like, yeah, I see you seeing me. Write this. That's true.
Chimera lives again?
I don't know what Chimera is. John, do you know what Chimera is?
I'm thinking that a villain in the Hawkman, Hawkgirl stuff. There was a similar named character in a mini-series ages ago, but nothing else is really ringing a bell on that one for me.
Yeah, I have no idea who Chimera is. No idea whatsoever.
I bet someone out. I bet
The
someone
old
out
gods
in podcast land knows it.
I'm certain,
Yeah.
like Adam over at Comic Geek Speak,
Oh,
could,
sure.
could give us half a dozen different things, no question.
Well, if anybody does know, comictiming@gmail.com, and we'll read it on the next
And to
episode.
the people listening, I'd just like to say, if you're still listening at this point, congratulations, you are a 52 fan.
We did tell them it was going to be a
Amazing.
52-hour podcast.
It seems that we're,
Oh,
we're
yeah,
well
definitely.
on our way.
Hey, it's episode
We're
20,
telling
man.
it
Come
in
on.
real time.
Oh, I'm not complaining. I'm just thanking
Yeah.
them, whomever they are, that are still with us here in the bottom of the whatever hour this is.
Yeah. The old gods are dead. The new gods want what's left. ISIS.
The old gods could also be the Titans of Myth and stuff who vacated in the Donna Troy series. And the new gods want what's left of reality, because apparently it's not all there, because we've seen some devastation and whatnot. I mean, clearly this is literally the new gods.
And isn't new gods, such as, like the Kirby new gods, isn't it usually capital N, capital G new gods?
Yes.
Because
That's
this
true.
is the old
Yeah.
gods, lowercase o, capital G, are dead, all caps. The new gods, lowercase n, uppercase G, want what's left underlined.
That's why I'm thinking it's going to have something to do with Black Adam and ISIS. Because they are new gods, you know? I mean, they have the powers of gods. So.
With Isis, I mean, an argument could be made she is an old god, kind of reincarnated, or, well, I guess just has the powers of.
Yeah.
I don't put too much stock in the capitalization and casing and stuff, because things like Secret 5 are all uppercase, Immortal Savage is
Yeah,
all
true.
uppercase, it's.
Yeah.
Not saying you're wrong, I'm just,
No, but hey, no, that's a good point, though. Curry Air is uppercase. Yeah, that's true. It's not terribly consistent.
Yeah. Well, here's one that obviously has something to do with me. I'm supposed to be dead.
Yeah, I'm supposed to be dead, question mark.
I've come back to life about 4 times.
Well-
so, I'm supposed to be dead. It has to do with
Yeah,
something
Rip
with him.
Hunter at the
I'm
end of
assuming,
Time Masters was believed to be dead. He was actually
Okay.
somewhere in the prehistoric era or whatnot, I believe.
And now he's back.
Well, the thing is, we don't
Sort
know
of.
when he wrote this.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, it could have been sitting there
I'm
for
thinking
years.
centuries.
Ooh.
Like
That's
52
even better.
BC,
Well-
maybe.
Oh. You know what? I think he got something there, but here's a question. Where the hell did he get the blackboard?
He's a time traveler. I mean,
But if he was stuck in 52
I suspect his
BC...
lab exists kind of sort of across all time, and that he originally set
Okay.
it up way back, and it just travels forward. And the other thing is he has
Well,
potentially at least one working time travel machine in this room.
That's true. That's
You
true.
mean
yeah.
you have a time
Hey.
machine, you don't have any goddamn coffee filters in this. Now, when you say it's been, is there anything about? I know later on during the whole Skeet thing, he kind of locks the door and sets it for 1,000,000, AD. We weren't led to believe that there was anything like. We haven't seen any other locked or sealed numbers. I'm looking at the page before.
When he goes
It's,
into this, I thought it had been set for January 1st, 52 AD or BC or whichever, I forget. Hang on.
Yeah, that's true. So that was the last time that he would be locked in. Or anyway, I'm getting a time travel headache. But yeah, that is interesting, though. I mean, we don't know, because he could have left any when and gone to any when. We don't know how long all this stuff's been sitting here, including the stuff on the board.
Yeah. Well, also, that makes the when am I, which is
Sure.
next on the board, make a lot more sense, because if he has no idea where the hell he is, then that makes a lot more
And he
sense.
may not be able to get out of this thing, depending how it's locked, etc. So,
True. Hey, I just thought of something, actually. What if he is in 52 BC, and he sent the board forward so that
you know
somebody
how
would
he
find
would do
it?
that too. Leave the board there.
Oh, yeah.
Traveling forward, very
Ah, well.
easy.
Oh,
But the question is, does he have
and-
any working time machines or not? Because the time
I don't
bubble
know.
there, or the time sphere, or whatever, that looks broken. The only other time
Yeah.
travel device I'm seeing is the time pool, and I can't tell if it works or not.
Now, the last thing on the board is others, and I put the emphasis on that because there's a question mark. Is this other people out of time? Is this other people involved here?
It could
we
be
don't know.
Rip Hunter. There's at least 2.
Ooh. That's a good question.
Because there's the Rip Hunter Time Master, and then there's Hunter, who's part of the
Linear Men?
The Linear Men.
Yeah.
So
it could be. Maybe he's finally finding that out now, where, holy crap, there's more than one of me. The floor itself,
we'll just board, and that was the Lazarus Pit prizes.
Yeah. And I don't think I've got to add that. I don't think that's on the ping list, but it should be. Especially because if the Lazarus Pit were to rise again, who might they use it on? I certainly know that Ralph would use it on if he could. Right?
Yeah.
It can bring you back from the dead, right? It doesn't just bring you. So I just if a Lazarus Pit like the one last seen in that Batman annual explaining Jason Todd in the past, or something like that rose again. Who knew?
Now, where was that one located?
I forget. I feel like it's one of the ones that got destroyed later or buried later.
Because
again,
I was thinking
pretty far
the last one that existed was in the Batcave.
Oh, my. Yeah.
Well, that could explain why Supernova went there in the first place.
Well, that's true. We saw him look at the glove, but,
I think he wanted the glove. Not that we know that he even took it, but
that's true.
That whole scene didn't work for me because it was not clear how he got there, what the hell he was doing other than sightseeing.
I think it was just sightseeing.
I don't know. That kind of does work for me because it was so obtuse of a scene that I know for me it really shook up my own Supernova theory. It was like, oh, what does Booster want with the Robin suit? You know what I mean? So I wonder if that's meant to be thrown in as a really strange glimpse into a private Supernova moment that makes everybody doubt who and what he is.
I think it plays into him being a version of Booster, particularly an older, wiser one, because that would be the reminder to him that you can't mess around. People can die.
Oh, yeah.
I need to take this seriously. There is a cost to it if I don't.
Yeah, could be. Yeah, I mean, there could be lots of ways to explain it away later, and again, maybe it was so brief that maybe things like looking at the Robin suit ends up being a throwaway later on once we figure out who Supernova is. But again, to me, that scene worked because it was like a moment of obtuseness. It just deepened the mystery. Like, wow, he knows that there's the Batcave, and what's he doing there? Like, to me, it was just all about adding questions.
Yes, and it did. It did do that. I hope that when it's all said and done and they start collecting stuff, that one of the things they release is the series of scripts for the whole thing.
Plus, I mean, some of the best scripts I've ever read, like, the classic one, of course, is in the graffiti edition of Watchmen. I love the conversational tone, like when you really read Alan Moore talking to Dave Gibbons, and I just can only imagine. They'd probably release a censored, cleaned up script, but it would be cool to read a script in which it's not just one writer talking to one artist, but it's kind of a whole room of writers communicating and keeping each other on track, as well as keeping the breakdown artist and the artist on track. Like, there needs to be a clarity of communication in that script, unlike a usual comic script. So I think it'd be a really interesting read.
And I'd like to see, here's the, on one page, the script for the page. Opposite it is the breakdowns by Giffen for the page.
Sure.
That kind of stuff. It'd be awesome.
That'd be fun.
I would pay good money for that.
That'd be really fun. Yeah. Well, let's do it. hey, if you're going to buy it, I'm sure plenty of other people
Who do I give my money to? Show me the slot I put my money in.
Yeah, right. Dan Didio, if you're listening.
Sorry we talk so long.
There you go.
Yeah, if you're listening, get back to work, or all of this will be late.
Well, don't worry. This episode's not going to be 5 hours and 20 minutes long. At least that much we know.
Okay, the floor. Let's do the floor.
Let's do the floor all at once, because the floor is nice and simple. Okay, 520 Kane Street. We know that already. Clockwise, as they read as follows: 51, 53, 54, 56, 55, 55, 50, 53, 54, all that stuff in there. There's no 52 there. So that makes people think it might be the 52 seconds.
Well, it's 52 is just missing. So whether it's seconds, minutes, months, years, whatever, who knows, or characters.
Yeah, book cover with knife on it.
Is that anything proprietary as a design? Like, is that the sword that Warlord carries, or any of the sword and sandal carriages? Is that like? John, do you recognize that as like some particular person's
must
sword?
Be looking straight through it. Where is that?
Lower left-hand corner.
Oh, I see it now.
Yep.
That doesn't look the least bit familiar to me.
Yeah.
Infinity Inc., we've seen them already, so skip that. Casey the Cop. Casey the Cop is interesting.
Some of the feature they had, and again, I think they're, trying to pull in anything and everything that DC ever published and, fitting in what makes sense to fit in.
Yeah. Silver Blade we went through already. Book Calls Who's Who we went through already. But here are the two big ones, and I'll put them together here. Find the Sun Devils and What is the Spanner's Galaxy?
Okay, are either of you familiar with Spanner's Galaxy?
Nope.
It was a 6-issue miniseries back in the mid to late 80s, I think. And it basically featured a guy who was kind of, on the run or whatever. And the big gimmick was you could do castling and essentially swap places with somebody if they agreed to it. Which means you could basically wind up in their jam and they could wind up in your jam and, wackiness ensued or whatever. It was a serious sci-fi kind of event. So that's kind of what is Spanner's Galaxy. And this goes back to my theory that they're taking as many things as they can and trying to say, oh yeah, sure we published it as a standalone miniseries, but we're pulling it into the DCU. Sun Devils, another miniseries or limited series, and I don't think I read that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, Spanner's Galaxy, where was this galaxy?
I don't know that they ever really established where it was. It was just, Spanner, and he was in a galaxy.
Could it have something to do... could this galaxy itself have something to do with what they found at the end of the galaxy? Maybe they found, the beginning of Spanner's Galaxy? I don't know. I'm grasping at straws here.
They could place it anywhere they wanted to. Like I said, I don't think it had any ties whatsoever to the DC Universe at the time. And I would be amazed if it's got any major relevance to the plot.
It just happened. It just happened, and they're reminding us that it happened.
Back to it's one of the things they publish that nobody remembers.
Yeah, I think it's a wink. I think it's just it's another one of those things that's sort of a wink at the smarts. That you recognize it if you're somebody that is as well read as John. But I'd be surprised if it ends up being something that affects what comes later.
I see this as an opening of doors, and they're saying, hey, if somebody has an idea and they want to use something from Spanner's Galaxy, sure, what the hell.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean...
and my God, we're done with the floor and the frickin' board, finally.
One last important thing, though, for the, if you get the comic in front of you, turn the page, and, of course, the board reads time is broken, and then the next thing the booster does is he walks the wall, where really, and, boy, if Rip Hunter wrote that board, he was really losing it when he started writing on the walls. It's all his fault, it's all his fault, it's all his fault. But then look at the last panel, and now having gotten further into the series and seen the Skeets revelation, you notice even more clearly there's a picture tacked up, his fault, 2 red arrows. The first picture looks like one arrow points to Booster, the other points to Skeets. Next picture down, picture of Booster and Skeets. His fault, red arrow seems to be pointing to Skeets. Next down, magazine cover. 2 green arrows pointing at Booster, 1 yellow arrow, and a post-it note that says, it's his fault. That arrow pointed at Skeets.
But that actually tells us something very important.
Yep.
That tells us when the stuff was written.
Yeah, that's true.
And do you know how it does that? That event was Booster taking on Mammoth on week 1, day 5. That's from the first issue.
So, in other words, he went missing sometime after that.
That's my theory.
Yeah, and I do think that it's when Booster and Skeets started, showed up this time is when time got broken. So, that's, I think, when all of this really hit the fan for Rip Hunter. And, of course, Booster sees this. It's his fault. Whose fault? Who? Me? ? So, is it Booster, blonde guy that he is, and I say this as a blonde man myself, missing all the obvious things that it's Skeets. But then later, when Skeets sees this through Daniel's eyes, thinking he knows, meaning Booster knows that it was me. Or, I'm sorry, he knows that Rip Hunter knows. So it's not only Skeets realizing when Skeets gets to see all this, oh, Rip Hunter is on to me, Skeets. But also, it's really interesting that Booster hides this from Skeets.
I'm curious how he hides it from Skeets. Why isn't Skeets monitoring?
Monitored, by the monitors?
No, by, the goggles like he does with Daniel.
I don't know. I mean, maybe that's something that, because Skeets didn't get to see and didn't have as tight of a rein on the Booster that he lost, maybe when he puts this new booster in the suit, specifically because Skeets has a plan to get a look inside Rip Hunter's cave that he didn't get to get last time, he rigged him up to make sure that he sees it this time.
It's clear even by this point that Booster's unreliable. So,
well, I think that this might have something to do with the fact that maybe this entity that it's possible. Well, like I said, I'm not sure Skeets has been evil this entire time. So maybe this entity that took over Skeets has just asserted itself enough where it can finally start messing with the armor and being in charge long enough to make changes like this.
I think Skeets was taken over whatever back in issue 1.
Yeah, when he powers off and gets powered back on. Although there is something to be said for if, whatever presence, be it an evil Skeets or something, in Skeets that has changed him, he does need to get away with all this stuff without Booster knowing. So I suppose, sure, but, Skeets probably could have talked the John Booster into, oh, can I do something to your goggles and rigged it all up. But it seems like there's more of an opportunity once you have an empty suit for Skeets to, make any modifications to that suit he needs to before he puts Daniel in it and sends him into, because you do feel like the whole reason he approaches Daniel is specifically because Skeets has to get into Rip Hunter's lab again.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got a quick email that I want to read here from Matthew Guy before we wrap things up here. He goes through all the questions that I asked in the initial response, and this is what he has to say. To the question, what is your current take on 52? He responds, a solid series that is well-paced, focusing on B and C-list characters in the DCU in the absence of the DCU Trinity. The series is in its 5 months for me, as I get 52 monthly, but I enjoy 52 overall. Some subplots I like now are ones I didn't like when they first came out, i.e. Black Adam Angry Negative, Black Adam with ISIS, and The Wedding a Positive. And many other subplots are the same way, with ups and downs week in and week out, focusing on different characters as 52 continues. Overall rating A-. To the question, who are your favorite characters? He goes, The Question, Renee Montoya, and Batwoman. That subplot has been the most enjoyable to read each month for me. That is truly exciting. Is there any aspect of 52 you would like to see more of as the series continues? More of the chalkboard of future drawings explained. It is the greatest mystery that I want the answer to now, as it aids me into understanding a bit more about 52 as I read each issue. Less of critics saying 52 is going to fail. It sells on average around 100,000 to 140,000 copies per week. That delivers in both in art and writing. And so far, critics have been proven wrong, as DC has been dedicated to shipping 52 out on time as promised. Repackage. Make the 2-page bios and history of DCU into its own special to go with series in trade form. What questions remain unanswered that you feel need answers? The questions from the chalkboard scenes need to be addressed in some manner by 52 final issue. Another question, waiting to find out, will this character make it out of 52 alive or die in 52? And most of all, would you pick up another weekly comic book if DC decides to make it? Not immediately after 52. Give me a breather. Time from all these events series for 6 to 9 months that goes for DC and Marvel. Let me enjoy a comic without it tying into this over here and that over there. Focus on a limited series for maybe 12 weeks on a great DC character or on a team book perhaps. And that's from Matthew Guy. So interesting takes there from Matthew. And the last question that he asked is the last question I want to ask you guys. Would you pick up another weekly comic from DC if they decide to make it after 52?
I would.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm loving the format, and as Matthew said, that I think hasn't come up, but it is really important. I love that it's B and C-list characters, and that it's not a team book. It's an ensemble book. So the notion that you can have a book where the true star is the setting, it's the place itself, just like the star of The Wire is Baltimore, rather than any of the characters. You can have a book that truly showcases how rich and wide and deep of a toy box the DC Universe is, and you can have characters that could never carry their own title and would never end up on a team together. So, and I love those characters. God, I mean, to think you would have never 2 years ago have told me that, Animal Man, my favorite, would be back, and would be in the mainstream DCU and would be somebody who's part of, even in a small part, this big, important, huge narrative. I just figured he's, I would never think that we could get him back. So I would love, I don't think I want one right away, because I could imagine that these writers and the editors need a break. Some of them have already left, but, so I don't need it to be 53, but I would love, once things normalize, once we're into, 2 years later and 3 years later of the DC Universe, I would love a weekly book that's not an anthology and gets to continue to be like plot-driven and, gets to be as diverse of a look at the DC Universe week after week, absolutely.
Part of it with 52 is they've spent so long planting the seeds, planning this particular storyline, working towards it and stuff. Can they do that kind of in perpetuity or whatever? I really doubt it. If they could, I'd love it. I mean, what I'd like to see, if they could keep up the quality, is kind of a backbone book for the DC Universe, which kind of, ties in, at least tangentially references the various events going on. So to where if you want to keep up with the overall continuity of what's going on, this would be the go-to place, whatever they would call the series. Have, a place to use the B, C, D, and Z list characters, keep people in play, explore things that would otherwise, just get cast off into limbo. But really, that's such a monumental undertaking that, it'd be difficult to do. If they're going to do it, they need to do it well, and to do it well takes a lot of time and resources. So,
well, I think that they can do it, and as you stated, it has to be done well. So I don't want to see something that's more like DCU Presents, where you get a different story every week and it's just one shots and all that. I want to see something that has a bit of continuity to it, like 52. And I want to see sort of like the rotating cast that we have in 52, where, 1 week we see these guys, the next week we see the next guys, and we're back to the other guys, and there's all these different stories happening at once. But give us some time to recover from 52 before you do something like that again. Because if you do it so soon, it's going to feel like you're oversaturating the market, and you're just not going to get those people to come back. But if you leave a good taste in people's mouths from 52, you'll be able to pull something off like this again, and it's been proven that this can be very successful to bring people back to the comic shop time and time again. So, hey, if it worked once, it can work again if done properly.
I think a lot of why it works now is because they've got almost once-in-a-lifetime opportunity here of having a 1-year gap in continuity between kind of two major events of Infinite Crisis and the 1 year later stuff. These opportunities don't come by that often.
Well, then it would have to be, characters that aren't being used elsewhere. That's the thing. You'd have to still make it B and C list characters, but just say, this is where these characters are going to show up. If you want to find these characters, they'll be in this month, in this weekly title. That's where you're going to have to find them. Similar to what they did with 52, but obviously you're not going to have the luxury of a missing year to put that in.
52 is also kind of a core continuity aspect, whereas just an anthology-ish intertwined book of B and C list characters, unless there's something to make it relevant, to make it seem like you've got to follow this and you want to follow this week in, week out, I don't know that it would be successful. I don't want to see another Action Comics Weekly, is what it comes down to.
Well, I don't want to see another Action Comics Weekly either, because that was pathetic. That was not exactly the best book. That was far from the best book DC's ever put out. So we definitely want to avoid something like that.
I didn't read it, but I don't hear good things. Yeah, no, and I see. I certainly understand John's point that they definitely took advantage of a unique opportunity. And even though this is the year without Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, you still kind of hook into them to get people interested. I mean, it had to spin out of an event that very much was all about Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. So, if you had a weekly DC Universe book, it does feel like it would need to be about interplay between the other big books and consequences of books and things like that. But scheduling-wise, continuity-wise, that'd be a nightmare. Like, it would be cool to see the way in which, a B-list character like Montoya or The Question or, whatever new group of B-list characters they would bring into a weekly book would react and be affected by, let's say, the events in that month's issue of Justice League or Superman or Justice Society. But again, the timing of that would be a nightmare. So it does feel like, as much as I would love to have a weekly book that isn't just an anthology but is rather telling a bigger present story, it would be so hard to do. It helps that this year being told in 52 was one that was carefully carved out to be played with.
If they do another series, though, I would not do it in real time. I think that would be a hideous mistake.
Yeah, they could give themselves that break at least.
I agree with
basically,
that,
time elapses in the series as it elapses, and then you just put in touchstones to where you're basically referencing this Batman arc that went 6 issues or 2 issues or 12 or whatever. It kind of happened here.
Okay.
And not lock stuff down hard, but just give it a time frame.
So don't go Jack Bauer again.
No, you can't, because they've gotten to the point where they've got 15 years of back history-ish, thereabouts for the DC universe. They now have a hard 1-year time frame that's locked in, and now they're moving forward in time, past that. So every character has aged another year out of this. You do that too often, and you wind up with, really, really old, teen sidekicks.
Yeah, they won't be the Teen Titans much longer.
If this were Marvel, what I would suggest doing is basically do it as a S.H.I.E.L.D. series, rotate through various characters in and out of S.H.I.E.L.D. as they interact with the various people, like keep tabs on them or whatever. You could conceivably do that with Checkmate or something like that.
That could work.
It does, to get back to an earlier point, it does show you why so many TV shows star detectives. I mean, when you set up a TV show, the premise and the concept needs to involve characters who again, like S.H.I.E.L.D. agents or Checkmate agents or detectives, have a reason to, week after week, walk into the middle of somebody else's story.
Or reporters.
Reporters, exactly. That whose job is to step into an event after the murder has happened or after the case is broke or, things like that, that gives all of these off-screen characters the support work to do. I could see that working, in the universe, and I wouldn't be surprised, especially now that Wacker is at Marvel and 52 made money, for Marvel to try something like this. But it does feel like it would almost need to be something like S.H.I.E.L.D. agents interacting with other B-level characters. It would be harder to schedule interactions with characters that have their own books.
Well, and you
that's
don't
where
even
the
need
timing would become tricky.
Direct interaction with them, because you do that interaction in their other book, and then you just pick a point in time in the main in that other series in the main series storyline to say, okay, this fit in here.
Yeah, that's true.
You have somebody walk out the door, he spends 6 issues in Captain America's book or Batman's book or whatever, and he comes back, 2 issues, 2 panels, whatever later.
And it's worked before. Yeah. So, I mean, that could pretty much work. If you do it right, it could work, but I don't know if you could do it right. We'll just have to wait and see if they actually give it a shot over at Marvel. Who knows? Yeah. Any final thoughts on 52 before we wrap this baby up?
And this is, again, getting back to a thing that Matthew said in his email that I think is great at the week that we're at, now that it's 23, is that I agree that, I think a lot of people were and some of the writers in the interviews have made this analogy, people were first watching the way in which some NASCAR fans watch looking for the car wreck. I think a lot of people were skeptical, and I love that with so many issues in the can, it feels like they're around the bend. It feels like they're over the hump, or whatever metaphor you want to use, that I think it's all going to come out on time. Yeah. I do think that they're going to pull it off, and what a great thing. And it's wonderful when some of that pressure of, oh my God, are they going to screw it up, goes away, and we can start to really appreciate what they've built. And I think that, and I understand some people's, criticisms of, okay, there's too many unanswered questions and things like that, but when these things start to connect to each other, and when these threads weave together, and when we start to get payoffs, I think it's going to be fantastic, and I think it's going to really reward those that have stuck with it and paid attention to it, and it'll be a big success. And I'd love to see more, whether it's a weekly title or not. I'd love to see more events that utilize the writers' room. I think so much of why this is so good. And I'm sure it was expensive. It's got to be expensive to pay 4 writers, a breakdown guy, and an artist for each issue. And TV's the same way. I mean, it's expensive to run a writer's room on TV, but there's a reason why often TV shows, to me, I think some of the best written TV shows are better than some of the best written films, is that, you've got a team working together instead of one screenplay that gets bounced from writer to writer to writer. And I would love to see this even be a model for future big events. that the next time they need some big event, even if it's a monthly one, instead of just the one writer, gather another A-list team again. Because I think we've seen what can come of it.
I 100% agree with that statement, because when you put the A-list on something, you'll get an A-list book.
And people that can bounce ideas
almost
off each
always.
other. You're going to get that sense of collaboration, that is just bound to tell a wider story that uses more of the toys than any one writer's going to do.
Yeah. John,
I
any
would
final
agree.
thoughts?
I think the main thing that's come of it so far, other than just being a commercial success, is it's really kind of moved forward the writing and production style of comics to be much more like Dave said, TV, mindset. Get a group of writers in there, tell bigger stories, tell interconnected stories, get some synergy going. And it's funny because, 20, 30 years ago, this sort of a thing, to a degree, seemed at least a lot more common across, Marvel and DC books, where, they had fewer titles, they could keep things coordinated better, either at the writer or editor level or whatever. As they started coming out with so damn many books, they've gotten it to where they can't keep, much of anything in sync. So to be doing it with this weekly series, hopefully they'll learn from this, and they can, start weaving a tighter continuity, building bigger picture stories, and really what I hope comes out of this and the 1 year later stuff is the sense that a lot of what can work for comics is giving the readers that joy of discovery, letting them find new characters, new aspects, new ideas, new places in the universe to explore, that sort of thing. Keep the readers engaged, and, everything benefits from that. You get more readers, you get happier readers, you get more investment from the readers, emotionally, and, that's something that had been so lacking in a lot of previous both titles and event titles from both Marvel and DC. So I see this as just so far a major success, and I expect at some point we're going to hit, kind of the climax part of the overall story arc, and we're just going to be, getting our socks blown off on a weekly basis. I'm looking forward to that.
Mm-hmm.
My final thoughts are somewhere along those lines, where there's a reason why people keep tuning in to 24 week after week after week. It's because you're presented with this idea that this is all taking place in 24 hours. Sure, it might be ridiculous that it's happened about 5 or 6 times already in this life of this TV character, but 52 works because we know that this is only happening once here, and you've got so many different characters living out an entire year in front of your eyes. Each issue is a week in time. In the world of comic books, you don't find that very often because, well, sequential time and comic books don't usually go together. Spider-Man has been in his 20s for about, how many years now? 30 years now? It's people do not age. But here we're seeing an evolution of characters for once, and it's something that comic books have missed for a very, very long time. 52 is doing it right, and this is time that these characters are never going to get back, and yet it's still going to evolve them. They're growing, they're becoming new and different, and it's something that we really needed as readers too, because there's a reason why we go out to the comic shop every single week to pick up 52, because it's intriguing, it's got great creators, it's got great artists, it's got similar artists and similar inkers and colorists on it, so that it feels like it's one continuous series, even though there's different artists on the book, which is something I love about it. All in all, they've done this absolutely perfect so far. I couldn't ask for anything better, and hopefully the second half of 52 will be as good or possibly even better to give me the conclusion that I'm looking for in this. And hey, it's a television series in comic book form. They did a great job.
To borrow another TV term, keeping that look consistent. It's it's the same thing television does. That the directors will be different episode to episode, but you keep the same DP, the same director of photography, which is essentially what Giffen is doing.
Yeah.
He's ensuring that there's this visual look, issue to issue, by in a sense framing and lensing all of these scenes that somebody else will as an artist direct. So I feel like he's taken a lot of what can work so well in television, and he's augmented it with a season that gets to be 52 episodes and have an unlimited special effects budget.
I think he's been the best thing to happen in DC in ages.
Oh, sure. And Marvel too, because Annihilation's been fantastic so far too. So he does events right. Keith Giffen is the type of guy that, he can do those, he can do those funny books with the Giffen DeMatteis years, or he can do those serious books with what he's doing now with the art on 52 and with the stuff he's doing for Boom Studios and all that stuff, and even with the Annihilation. He's just doing comics right, and he's one of the best creators out there, and I'm glad they have him on this book. And with that, my timer says exactly 3 hours here. So I think I'm going to split this up into 2 episodes, actually. So one will probably be released on Friday, and then we'll have one released sometime next week. But wow, this has certainly been an episode that goes all aspects of 52, and, well, it was a large episode, just like 52 is a large series, so it made perfect sense. And I was glad to have both you guys join me for this, because, David, it's been a pleasure, talking to you for the first time, because, we've, of course, corresponded over the boards, but haven't really talked to you before, and it's been a pleasure talking to you, and hope to talk to you in the future.
Geeking out with you till the small hours of the Eastern Standard Time night.
Are you going to be in New York Comic-Con?
I think so. Yeah, I'm going to imagine unless I'm out of town for some reason, I would certainly be there.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, I hope to see you there.
John, will you be coming to New York for the show? Or?
I don't think so. I'm hoping to make it out for Comic Geek Speaks 200th episode, but I have not gotten that locked down just yet.
Very cool.
Yeah, well, I'm going to be at CGS 200 for sure, because I was at 100 and I couldn't see myself missing 200. So, but nevertheless, John, thank you very much for joining us again. It's always a pleasure having you on, and while you bring plenty to the table with your numbers and with your extensive knowledge of comic books.
Yeah, I've got to say, good God, there wasn't a thing on the board or in that you didn't know. You could probably rival Mark Waid with some of the stuff you pulled out tonight.
Oh, not even close.
Oh, no, come on, man. Mark Waid's a walking computer.
I do it. Mark Waid, then you've got Adam Murdo, and then you've got Peter Rios, then you've got, a couple of people, then you've got Brian Deemer, and then you've got me.
Well, Brian remembers as much as he as much as he forgets, so that works. I just had to make that statement. I'm sorry, but anyway, anything upcoming that you want to plug here quickly, John?
Let's see. I think I'm going to be on another episode. Let's see of Comic Geek Speak. We've talked about the which is again the same stuff I'm doing with Chris over Collected Comics Library. Beyond that, no, I don't really think I've got anything major to plug.
Anything out of you, David?
I would just, if you're clearly if you've gotten to this point in the episode, you're as big of a 52 fan as we are. There's usually a great and lively discussion that we have on the CGS board every week that starts the day that the new 52 issue comes out. There's a wonderful group of fellow crackpot theorists and people that have great knowledge of the universe, and it's usually a pretty good discussion. So if you want to keep the discussion going week to week, just check out the CGS forum and look for the newest 52 thread.
Any chance you guys could start a Skype cast or something a couple of days, the following Tuesday or whatever after it comes out?
I'm sorry, say it again. Start a what?
Like a Skype cast. In other words, get it to where people can actually, talk back and forth on some of this stuff.
Oh, geez. Well, Grandpa here is on a landline phone. I don't have the Skype that the kids have. So, power to you if you want to get one going, but for me, it'll still. Plus, the nice thing about the forum discussions is that I can be paid by my employer. They're underwritten. I can do them while I'm at my boring job at work.
There is that.
There you go.
There is that.
Well, with that, let's wrap things up here. The email address for Comic Timing is comictiming@gmail.com. Don't forget to check out those forums over at comicgeekspeak.com/forum. Graciously hosted by the Comic Geek Speak guys. We are listed under the Comic Timing heading on there, which is pretty easy to find. Our 22 pages for the month of November will be Superman Confidential #1. And we've got some special guests for that one, and possibly even a crossover planned. More information forthcoming on that. But that one is Darwin Cook and Tim Sale. Comes out on November 1st, and we should have that episode about 2 weeks afterwards. So if you want to be in on the talk of that, just pick it up, and we will discuss it. Don't forget to vote for us on Podcast Alley. The links are in the show notes and on the main page. We are proud members of the Comics Podcast Network over at comicspodcast.com. Also, it has been confirmed that Comic Timing will be at New York Comic Con in the podcast, I believe they're calling it the Podcast Arena. So we will be over at Podcast Arena. So obviously, if you want to stop on by and say hello at New York Comic Con, you can go ahead and do so, and we'll have more information on that forthcoming. Don't forget to send us your iTunes review reviews on iTunes, just look us up on iTunes and give us a review. We'll be more than happy to read the review if you so put it on there. Positive or negative, either way, just let us know how you feel. And other than that, I think I have run out of things from my mouth to say, other than David and John, once again, an absolute pleasure having you on the show. I hope to have you back in the future.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Great talking to you guys.
All right. And great talking to you, man. And definitely a lot of fun here. And as always, there's always time for comics. And here's hoping that there were no problems with the recording, because that would royally suck.
It would be a redo that would just be completely joyless.
Oh, man. Well, see, here's the thing, okay? And I'm saying this, I'm going to edit this out later, but I pulled a cord out very recently that was supposed to be out in the first place. So if half of it is fucked up, the only part that's going to be fucked up is my part, not yours. So if there is any problems, then I'm going to do sort of like me asking the question and then play your parts.
Oh my God, that sounds
okay? No, because I'm not losing this podcast.
Like madness.
What you ought to do for another podcast is do that kind of a thing as a crossover with Just Bill's Longbox podcast. Have a pause long enough for him to have answered. I agree. That's good for,
Oh, Just Bill. If you're listening, buddy, we love you. We love you and your mysterious podcast that doesn't actually exist.
The self-parody that we all need.
Fuck yeah.